Picture this: disaster strikes. Panic shopping causes chaos, and now the supermarket is out of food, the shelves are bare. How would you handle an unexpected food shortage? This isn't just a scenario, it's a real potential situation in our current time. Stay tuned to learn what you need to do to be prepared for the inevitable. You might be thinking, why should I worry about this now? It's 2024, we've got time, right? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but when it comes to survival, time is always of the essence. Let's consider this. If a food shortage were to strike tomorrow, would you be prepared? The unfortunate reality is that many of us would answer no to that question. You see, being proactive is key when it comes to survival. Waiting until the last minute to start preparing could leave you in a precarious situation. The skills you need to survive, like knowing how to purify water, start a fire, or grow your own food, these aren't things you can learn overnight. They take time to master. And remember, it's not just about surviving, but thriving during hard times. The more prepared you are, the better your chances of making it through unscathed. The time to start preparing is now, not when the shelves are already empty. So, what could possibly lead to food shortages in 2024, you might wonder? Well, there are several factors to consider, and they all interlink in ways that could potentially disrupt our food supply. First off, let's talk about climate change. It's a hot topic, and rightly so. Our planet is warming, and this is causing more frequent and severe weather events. Think about it. Droughts can decimate crops, floods can destroy farmland, and wildfires can wipe out whole regions of food production. The ripple effect of these events on our food supply can be significant and long-lasting. Next, let's consider supply chain issues. We live in a global economy where food is shipped from all corners of the world. A single disruption in one part of the world can have a domino effect, leading to shortages elsewhere. For instance, a political upheaval could halt export from a country that's a major food producer, or a pandemic could cause labor shortages, slowing down food production and distribution. Further, economic instability could also contribute to food shortages. Inflation, trade wars, and financial crises can all affect the cost of food. When prices rise, food becomes less accessible to many, and in some cases, certain items might disappear from the shelves completely. It's also worth mentioning that our global population is growing, and with it, the demand for food. However, our capacity to increase food production is limited by factors such as soil degradation, water scarcity, and loss of biodiversity. In essence, the potential for a food shortage in 2024 is influenced by a complex web of factors, all of which are beyond our individual control. We find ourselves in a delicate balance where the slightest shift could tilt us towards scarcity. These are real issues, and they're not going away anytime soon. So, how do we navigate this uncertain terrain? Stay tuned as we delve into how you can start prepping for potential food shortages and equip yourself with crucial survival skills. Now that we understand the threat, let's dive into some practical steps you can take to start prepping. First and foremost, storing non-perishable foods is an excellent way to prepare for potential food shortages. Think canned goods, dried fruits, grains, and beans. These items have a long shelf life, are easy to store, and require minimal preparation. Remember, variety is the spice of life, even in a food shortage. So, aim for a diverse mix of food types to keep your meals interesting and nutritionally balanced. Next up, let's talk about gardening. Even if you're in an urban environment, you'd be surprised at how much food you can grow in a small space. Start with easy-to-grow plants like tomatoes, herbs, or leafy greens. They require minimal care and can be grown in pots if space is an issue. Not only does this provide you with fresh produce, but it also gives you a valuable skill set that could come in handy in a prolonged food shortage. And don't forget about water. It's a basic necessity of life, but it's often overlooked in prepping plans. While storing bottled water is a good start, it's not a sustainable solution in the long term. This is where water purification comes into play. There are a variety of methods you can use, such as boiling, using purification tablets, or investing in a quality water filter. Each has its pros and cons, so do your research and pick the method that suits you best. Now let's move on to preserving food. This is a skill that our ancestors knew well, but many of us have forgotten. From canning fruits and vegetables to smoking meats or making pickles, these methods can extend the life of your food and add a bit of flavor to your meals. Plus, it's a great way to make the most of your garden harvest or take advantage of seasonal produce. Lastly, consider learning how to forage. Nature is full of edible plants and fungi, but you need to know what you're looking for. Start by learning about the common edible plants in your area, and always double-check before you eat anything. Remember, some plants and mushrooms can be deadly if consumed, so caution is key. These are just the basics, of course. There's a whole world of survival skills out there waiting for you to explore. From hunting and fishing to building a shelter or making a fire. The more skills you have, the better prepared you'll be. Now, all of this might seem a bit overwhelming, especially if you're new to the world of prepping. But don't worry, you don't have to do it all at once. Start small, take one step at a time, and before you know it, you'll have a well-stocked pantry, a thriving garden, and a solid set of survival skills. These are just the basics. There's a lot more to learn. So, you've got your food and water sorted. But what about other survival skills? True preparedness goes beyond just stockpiling. It's about learning practical skills to keep you safe and alive. Firstly, let's talk about first aid. In a crisis situation, you may not have immediate access to medical services. Knowing how to clean and dress a wound, perform CPR, or even just identify signs of illness can make all the difference. It's a good idea to take a first aid course and keep a well-stocked first aid kit on hand. Next up is fire starting. Fire provides warmth, a way to cook food, and a signal for help. It's not as simple as striking a match, though. You need to know how to gather and prepare the right kind of fuel, how to construct a fire for maximum efficiency, and how to maintain it safely. There are various methods to start a fire without matches or a lighter, such as using a fire steel or even a battery and some steel wool. Practice these techniques until you're confident you could start a fire in any weather condition. Lastly, let's consider foraging for wild edibles. Even with a good stockpile of food, you might find yourself needing to supplement your diet. Knowing how to identify and prepare safe-to-eat wild plants can provide you with essential nutrients and variety in your diet. But remember, never eat anything you can't positively identify. Some plants can be dangerously toxic. These skills aren't learned overnight, so start practicing now. Join a local survival skills group, take courses, or learn from experienced mentors. There are also countless resources available online, including videos, articles, and forums where you can ask questions and share your experiences. Master these skills, and you'll be much better prepared for any food shortage. It's about more than just surviving. It's about thriving, no matter what comes your way. We've covered a lot today, but the bottom line is this. Being prepared for potential food shortages in 2024 is not a choice, it's a necessity. In a world where climate change, supply chain disruptions, and economic instability are more than just buzzwords, self-sufficiency becomes our saving grace. Learning survival skills and prepping for food shortages isn't about fear, but about empowerment. Storing non-perishable foods, learning basic gardening skills, purifying water, and mastering key survival tactics like first aid, fire starting, and foraging are all about taking control of your future in uncertain times. We've all heard the saying, better safe than sorry. Well, in this context, it's more than just a saying. It's a mantra, a way of life. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. It's about thriving, not just surviving. Remember, the best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is now. That's all for today, folks. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more survival tips coming your way. And we're all ears for your own prepping experiences, so drop them in the comments section. Stay safe, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next video.